right, let's find a slope through 2 points. It says in each case, find the slope of the line that contains the 2 given points. Now, just to recall, what slope is, remember that slope, okay, represented by the letter M when we're calling out the slope, is the change in the y-coordinates over a change divided by the change in the x-coordinates of a line. Of 2 points, actually, right? Change in the y-coordinates over the change in the x-coordinates. We call this the rise. We call this the run. And so the rise over the run is the slope. And the other thing you might see is something like this. This little delta just means the change in y, and then this is delta x. Delta y over delta x means the same thing. Change in y over change in x. So let's take a look at how we get the change in y over the change in x. I'm going to go ahead and just label this. This is x1, this is y1. Here's my first point, x and y. Here's my x and y of my second point. Now, I want the change in y over the change in x. The way I can get that is just take the difference, right? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that's the formula for finding the slope. So let's go ahead and plug the numbers in. 5 minus 6 over 4 minus, now the formula owns the minus, but that negative 3 has its own negative, so we still have to honor the fact that it has a negative, so that's a minus a negative, which is a plus, and there we go. Our slope for that, between those 2 points, is a change of negative 1 for every, down 1 for every horizontal change, 7. So down 1 over 7. Okay, let's take a look at this next one. Again, this is going to be x1, y1, this is going to be x2, and it doesn't matter, by the way, which you decide is going to be the first or second point, x1 versus x2. It doesn't matter which one, but you need to be consistent, so go ahead and label them. So we're going to have 2 minus 2 over 7 minus negative 5. So there's a 0 on top, minus a negative means plus, so that's a 12 on the bottom. Doesn't really matter what's on the bottom because anytime you have a 0 in the numerator of a fraction, it's 0. Okay, so there's my slope. The slope is actually 0. And this last one, we'll take a look at this one. We're going to have negative 8 minus 3. I didn't label it, but I know that you know what we're doing now. Negative 8 minus 3, and then we have a 1 minus 1. So that's the same as plus a negative, right? So we have negative 11 over a 0. Now, this time the 0 is in the denominator. Well, that doesn't mean the slope is 0. That actually means that there's no slope on this line. There's no slope. In fact, we call that undefined. The slope is undefined. So that's what we have to write about that. We can actually say it's no slope, but I prefer undefined. Now, let's take a look at what the situation here, the red situation would be. If I sketch this really quickly, I would go negative 5, 2, and 7, 2. So what kind of line would that make? That would make a horizontal line. So we know by looking at the connection between that and the 0 slope that all horizontal lines have a 0 slope. So this is horizontal line with a 0 slope. Well, let's take a look at the blue one and let's draw some conclusions there, right? We have the point over 1 up 3, and then we have the point over 1 negative 8. Well, that line is a vertical line, and so we can conclude that this is an undefined slope is what you find on all vertical lines. Okay, and that might be helpful to know down the road. Thanks for watching.